Hi guys, it's Holli Henry here with Speedway 360, and I'm here at the Cocopah Speedway on a beautiful sunny day once again. Don't be jealous for all you stuck out in the snow. I'm here with Marlyn Seidler, one of my favorite drivers. I get to pick my drivers, by the way, and I picked him because his racing career is inspirational. It's incredible, even though he's modest about it. He's been racing for a really long time. So Marlyn, tell me, how old were you when you got started, and how did this whole thing happen?
Oh boy, I think I was probably around 23 or 24 when we first started with a car, and we just went to the races a few times. I used to sit in the stands, and I used to watch that and think, wow, that'd be something, probably be fun. So we finally had the harebrained idea to go ahead and try that, and our first try at it was kind of a disaster. so anyway, yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of trial and error, and I'm sure a lot of things you've watched technology and cars and things grow and change over the years. What's been I'm sure you've raced a couple different classes too. What's been your favorite class that you've raced?
This modified class is absolutely my favorite. When I started, we did start with an old street car one time. And I got in about 5 or 6 laps, and very first night, and I ended up spinning out. And there was light poles around with lights around the inside of the racetrack, and I hit one of those light poles so hard that it knocked the wires around, and it shorted the wires and actually knocked the lights out in Southeast Minot. So forever after, I was known I had the pole position that night. But yeah, it's been a long time. We went right in after that sparkling trial. we just went right straight into a late model and got going with that. And back in those days they weren't the late models of today,
yeah.
but they were still pretty out there, and huge motors, and a lot of guys traveled around the United States back in those days. They'd make a living. You could honestly make a living racing in those days because cars were not as high priced as they are now, and guys would go and run around where there was good money being paid.
Yeah. And
I knew quite a number of guys that raced for a living, and they would come up there and for big shows we'd have up there at home and stuff. So things have really changed that way. And in 1980, I quit racing for like 8 years. And I had some commitments. I needed to go south combining, custom combining, so couldn't stay in race. And when we came back and started racing again in 1988, I believe, or 89, started with a modified, and that's what I've been ever since.
Wow.
I've been a modified deal.
Wow. And I know when we were talking earlier, you said you began in 1973 is when you started the whole racing deal. That's inspirational. That's incredible. And I love the modifieds too. And it kind of is the same thing that you're saying, where you can essentially race them all over the country. The rules are the same, and that's the fun thing about it. What have you noticed as far as setup or components on a car that have changed the most? I know shocks and suspensions come a really long way. What's the biggest, as far as racing components, has changed the most for you?
I don't know if there's any one thing that I can really pick out. There's just all of the above. You mentioned some of the big ones there, the shocks. There's just so much going on with these race cars, and everybody gets better with them every year. There's so many chassis built, and so many guys, so many sharp guys,
Oh, yeah.
And you can buy good stuff right out of the box, right off the trailer, and be pretty good. So this class is definitely a challenge, but the one thing that's a blessing about it is the tire. The tire is really limited, not much traction.
Yeah.
So really, you still struggle to make as much traction as you can with the tire, and that's the huge, that's the huge goal that makes the difference in a night between finishing 10th and winning.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I know, Royce and I always joke, it's if he's a half a PSI on, his right rear tire, he knows about it as soon as he gets out of the the car, and it's you're exactly right. It's that traction, finding it, and the tire. For those of you that don't know, we're on a Hoosier G60, so it's hard for the driver to find traction with that tire, and that's part of the challenge. But it is also makes it a little bit more of a level playing field. So it's really just what guy finds that moisture in the track, or finds that line, finds that grip, and that can take you from the back to the front. So that's always something that we're all working towards. Who has been with you since day one? Do you have anybody that, because I know you're pretty much a one-man show for the most part, and you travel around a lot. What would you say was that, or even if you have like an inspirational driver, somebody that really inspired you?
As far as help, the beginning was so far back that I don't have anybody. There's been a handful of people that have helped me along the way, and they've been huge, every one of them. And, Bubba,
yeah.
And he's been with me for years, and I wouldn't be racing anymore if it wasn't for Bubba. He's the only reason I really can race yet. I couldn't do this, and I wouldn't want to do this alone, for sure. But yeah, he's a huge help. He's so dedicated. He could walk on me a lot of different days, but we still think that we still like doing this. We just believe so long as we think we've got a chance at being competitive or winning a little bit, we're going to keep doing this. So, I'm getting up there in age where you just don't see a lot of gray hair crawling out of race cars. If you look.
I love it. And that's what my favorite thing about it is it's the journey, it's the story, it's every race you learn something, and it's all trial and error and applying what you get from each race, and each thing that you change on the car, and it's that mousetrap that we're all trying to figure out, and traveling that much and going all these different tracks and running all these different races. It's such a inspirational thing to see you keep working at it, and you do really well. I know you won at Cactus Clash last year, which was awesome. It was an awesome race for those of you that didn't see it. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk with me. I love when you come out to see us. I'm always so happy when I see you pull in the pits. I'm Holli Henry with Speedway 360. You can catch us on Cocopah TV on YouTube. You can also catch us on the Cocopah Facebook page on Facebook. Thank you, Marlyn, so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I look for you out there.